We're at the end of the first 3 and a bit weeks of the lockdown, and we've obviously been told that it's going to get extended for another 3 weeks, which is what it is, I suppose, isn't it? As every day goes by, it's easier almost in some respects, but almost difficult from every other aspect. I've been looking at a lot of the news in bite size, really, on a day by day. I don't look at it every second of every day because I think it's just too demoralising and too doom and gloom, and there's no real answers because no one can give any answers. But there's a few takeaways that I found from the past week that have been quite interesting from a personal perspective and a business one, and that is that this lockdown was obviously affecting everyone in absolutely every way you can possibly imagine. I was talking to one of our candidates, our contractors that we placed recently, who hasn't been extended and now in a position where they don't have much of an income. They're going through their own personal stuff, got kids to look after and no hope of a job in the near distant future. And it made me realise how lucky that I am from a financial standpoint, where I don't have to worry so much about bills at the moment anyway, which is nice. But it also made me think there must be loads of people out there that don't have that luxury, that are quite literally down to the last 100 quid into their account, or even less, or in total debt and living off credit cards. And I don't think we see any of that, do we? We kind of hear about the people dying, which is obviously tragic in its own right. You know, the struggle is real for some people, and just because a lot of people can work from home and the world hasn't stopped spinning, there is almost like this attitude of, well, it is what it is, so let's just kind of do what we can, right? And the NHS are doing an absolutely fantastic job. I think the government specifically are doing everything in their power, and they're still under a lot of ridicule, and I suppose they always will be. That's what they're there for, to be questioned all the time and probed and held accountable in times of crisis. I don't know about other people, but I think they're doing everything in their power. I think they're doing a great job. There's obviously areas of improvement, but there always is. Isn't that just a part of life that we learn as we go? And that this will be a big learning curve for everybody. We're taking so much opportunity now, just as a people, individuals at Northreach, to figure out what our roles are going forward, where we should pivot in the future, where the market's going to be for us in 2020 and 2021. We obviously had to kind of think about our target, our growth target as a company, where we want to be by the end of this year, what this kind of lockdown means. Some of it's scary, I suppose, what it could mean for my company that Ben and I have built from scratch, from the people that we hire, for the promises that we've made. You know, that's quite a tough thing to think about, really. And as a small business, we've had the grant, which is amazing. We haven't actually had the money yet, but we know it's coming in the next couple of days. The furlough is obviously helping to a lot of companies, and I think that's been fantastic for a lot of organisations. But there's definitely an expectation from company directors, I think, to look at where the opportunities are and actually put the faith back into the employees, to let them know that there is a plan. One crazy thing that I've definitely found this week, and maybe a controversial one, but I think everyone will feel this in some way, is that you now know what your employers really like. Through all this is probably the hardest time the majority of businesses will go through. Any sort of downturn in a market, especially on a global scale, not even a sector specific, this is global scale. I know there are some companies that are making money out of this and they're busier than ever, and that's wonderful. But what about the companies that told you about opportunity, and they told you how much we care about you as an employee and that you guys come first? Have they held up? Have they actually listened to what's going on? Are they making tons of money and making loads of people redundant for their own self-security to save the people at the top? That's the big question, and a thing that I'm definitely seeing. I know that's a very controversial way of looking at things, because some opinions are going to be like, we had to do what's right to save the business, and of course you've got to make those hard decisions. But I'm quite interested to see how people communicated it. Did you have other options? I definitely know of some organisations that could have furloughed people, but they just decided to make it redundant regardless. Or maybe that is just kind of prolonging the inevitable. But whilst people are under your employer and you do have the functionality to be able to save someone from living on the breadline and not having an income, do we not have an obligation as employers to make sure we do that? Funny one to me. I think it's really telling. It's really telling of what your boss is really like, what your company is really like. I've heard some wonderful stories of employers, big employers and some small employers that are really looking after their staff and doing what they possibly can. My sister works actually in the government, and they've all been given a sum of money to be able to do some self-development that's going to help their career in the short and medium term. They can't physically work. What she does particularly, she has to be in the office to do. So from home, she's not able to do anything, right? But them as an employer, they could have said, look, we're just going to have to let you go and it is what it is. But they've actually said, no, we're actually going to put you on these training courses, we're going to pay for it. And it's just a great opportunity for you to learn something, learn what you want. There is this big thing about not wasting the time, and I think it's true. Life doesn't get in the way, the jobs don't stop coming in, and it might be just your home jobs. They're painting that room that you've been meaning to do forever, or for me, cleaning my shoes and trainers, which I know sounds quite funny, but I've got quite a lot of trainers and I'm quite proud of keeping them clean, but I haven't done a good job, but it's still a job, so I put it off. But I've been trying to learn more about marketing personally. I think particularly within what I do, being a good marketeer and how you put yourself out there is a lot of the work. And I think that rolls into any sort of industry, any sort of company anyway. But for me personally, I don't really know the science behind it so much. I think even if you can make a small change in any capacity throughout this period, be it, well, we know it's definitely 3 weeks, at least be 6 weeks, 9 weeks, or possibly even 12 weeks into this. It would be nice to look back on this time, and no matter how tough it is, to get some solace that you was able to spend a bit more time with your family, or you've learned something you didn't know before, or you've pushed yourself harder than you thought you could. This is a challenge, and everyone's got their challenges, and everyone's got to do what they can in the situation that they are in, no matter how difficult it is, and don't be kind of afraid to ask for help. I've seen some wonderful things on social media around individuals putting themselves out there, no matter what the connection, be a close friend or a total stranger, to say that you shouldn't be afraid to ask. You're not on this alone, and you're not. There are plenty of people out there, myself included, that if you need something, we're happy to help. And that goes to my family, my friends, my acquaintances, my clients, my candidates that I've worked with, the placements that we've made that worked and not worked out subsequently because of Corona. And it might not be life-changing, but it might be something small, and it might seem so simple. I suppose for me, it has been a bit of a life lesson to really understand the people that you are acquainted with, the people that you're friends with, and most importantly, just being there for other people says so much. Just a phone call, or a text message, or a video chat, they go such a long way. They really do. You think of the more elderly people are just on their own, and they have no contact with anybody sometimes. So to be able to kind of put a phone call in, just have a chat for 5-10 minutes, whatever it may be, is nothing, right? And this is easy, and most of the time it's free nowadays with technology, and we should be embracing that. So at the end of the 3rd week, I think what I've recently realised in my own mind, particularly looking back when I very first started these videos, is I'm a lot calmer with what's going on. I know it's still very much, we've got a long way ahead of us, but I'm a lot calmer. I know exactly where I want to be and what I want to do, and I feel that my team and my partners and my family are in a good spot, and I'm very thankful for that. I feel very grateful. I'm in a situation where I'm not under those pressures that I've heard from others, and I feel for those people, and it's not pity, it's very much I understand, or try to understand or appreciate that situation, how difficult it is, and I just want people to know that I'm there, and I will do what I can personally to be able to help you from a professional capacity, or if it's just a chat, whatever it may be. We have a long road ahead, everyone, but we will get through this. I believe that is true, and I still believe that we will all come out stronger from this if we just take a step back and realise what's actually happening out there in the world, and listen to the guidance that we're getting, and take advantage of the things that are out there, particularly for small, medium-sized businesses. As an employer, this is the good time to look at yourselves in the eye and really think about how much do you value your staff, your business. I think people need to stop making rash decisions. So on that note, here's to another 3 weeks, I suppose. Keep your chin up, everyone. Keep your chin up. We will very much get through this, and I look forward to hearing the comments later on. Thanks very much.